Picking a system early on isn't horribly too difficult. We need to stay pretty close to Jita for the most part, since that's where we're storing everything. Some of the things I look for as far as it's just player citadels for the most part. I try to make sure that I have somewhere to dock, and compression is just super important. It's gonna be a long time before we're gonna have our own compression with the Porpoise or the Orca. So usually, if you're in a system, you can just roll over the icon in the overview. You can see first if you have docking permissions, and then usually what I'll do is I'll go in there and look at the info, go to services here, and look for reprocessing. It doesn't matter what this tax rate is because it's not going to cost us anything to just compress. And so I'll kind of give you an idea of what like the rotation would look like. But essentially, once we fill up the venture here, we're just going to warp 0 to that station. And then we're going to use the cargo deposit to just dump right in and then go right back out to the rock. A lot of my goal today is just to stack a lot. And we're not going to go back to Jita at all until we've got this venture completely full of compressed ore. That keeps us from just traveling through that Jita gate too much. And once we actually get a full load, I'll give you a better idea of how long it's going to really take us to go for Omega and everything. Another benefit you can do too is if you're starting this, you can also just wait for Omega discounts or sales. So you can just kind of like stack all of your assets and just stack your value and your ISK and everything. And instead of paying like full price for it, you can essentially just go in there and on a sale or something. Another thing you can do too is if you have an alt that you're mining with, then if your alt and your main share, or if your alt shares the same email address as your main, then you'll end up getting the old Omega cost. This would only work with real money on the store, but essentially you can go into the account management, log into one of your alts, and there is a special on there, which is always on there as an alt. You just have to make sure they have the same email address as your main, and you'll be able to get Omega for the old $14.99 price. But then, if you wait for sales, you can actually even get it cheaper than that. So, since we're probably going to be trying to plex this character, we're going to have to wait for basically a new Eden Store Omega sale and go that route. And if we can, we might actually end up going with maybe like more than a month. Maybe, try to save up for either 3 months or something like that, just so we don't have to worry about it for a while. Because once we actually get into the retriever and everything, we'll want to just kind of like stack cash again. All right, so we're full. So I want to show you kind of what this would look like. So we're going to basically warp 0 to this Athenor over here. And I've already got some stuff stacked up in there. I've been doing quite a bit of mining the last night and everything. And we're essentially just mining like crazy. We're just trying to stack as much as fast as possible just to kind of get ahead of everything. So essentially, if you're out there mining, right, this goes for if you're in a retriever, venture, whatever. I just warp 0 to this station. I right click on it and go to open cargo deposit right there. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go ahead and position this. I'm going to put this where I like it on the interface. Just going to go ahead and turn all the things on. Go ahead and lock it in place. But essentially, you just drag your ore over there, hit transfer, and then we can just immediately head right back out to grid. This keeps us having to dock and then undock, which can just take time. And so there you go. We're going to be doing a lot of mining today, and my goal is to get this venture completely full of compressed ore, and we'll look at that value and kind of go from there. But in terms of just like, I think the biggest question is like, well, what's a good system to mine in, right? Normally I would tell people, you want to be as far away from Jita as possible, and I think that's more prevalent if you're in a mining barge like a procurer or a Mackinac or a Zoomer Mackinac, whatever. We're not a really high value target right now, being as we're a venture. Obviously ventures get ganked all the time, but we're kind of utilizing the fact that we're a pretty low interest target, and we're going to be, for the beginning, we're going to be utilizing the no rat thing in 0.9 and 1 systems So looking for systems of that security, looking for systems that have a citadel that you can dock in that has compression, that keeps you from having to really worry too much about having a hauler or anything. Just compress it all in a station and then just take it to wherever you're stockpiling it or selling it. So that's kind of the big thing too, is like, finding the sec level you want if you want to avoid rats, and then the compression. As far as like everything else, like there's some systems out there that don't have that many belts, and it's also, having a system that has quite a few belts. Like this one I'm in right now, it's got a lot, right? So that means the more belt, obviously there's like 39 people in local. So the more people in local, the more belts you want, essentially. You don't want to, there's systems out there that have like 3 belts and then have like 20 plus people in them, and they're all over the place. They're always being kind of just gobbled up early on. So, and just kind of knowing what you need early on. Veldspar is our main ticket item right now until we start moving out. And essentially we'll end up going from 0.9 to 1 sec systems all the way down to either like 0.5 or 0.6. We're not going to hang out anywhere in between, because once we're ready to go, we're just going to go as far down on the sec as we can in high sec and just hang out there. There are systems out there that might have 4 or 5 people in local all day, and that's kind of where we want to be. And we're going to start setting, when we get those new systems, we're going to look at the kind of the regulars. We're going to start like kind of casing the joint, so we kind of know what the normal activity is and just kind of hang out and do as much as we can there. The one thing you're going to have to end up doing once you get away from high sec, or not, well, like 0.9 and 1 security high sec systems, is you're going to start checking your agency for pirate strongholds. So if you go over here to the agency, go to encounters, you look at pirate strongholds. If it's in your system, it's going to pop up right here, or if it's like in the vicinity, you'll be able to click here and see where it's at. You do not want to be mining if there's a pirate stronghold in your system, because the rat mining fleets, if you go on grid with them, they will just warp off and they'll call a NPC response fleet to you, and you're just gonna have a bad day. So that's the number one thing I check every single day before I start mining in a system, is make sure that there's no pirate stronghold around or anything like that. But as you can see right now, we're just kind of still doing the same thing. We're kind of hunting dense Veldspar at the moment. We're just grabbing whatever we can. We're going to essentially just pretty much focus on dense Veldspar for the most part all day. And there's quite a bit left here on this. These rocks are, actually I wanted to compare this with yesterday. Yeah, see, look at it. These rocks are much bigger than they were yesterday in yesterday's episode. So what I was talking about yesterday as far as like the big rock day, small rock day, yesterday was definitely a small rock day. And as you can see right now, these rocks are considerably bigger than they were yesterday. Like the lowest one is like 4,700. The biggest one's like 12,300. Yesterday it was like 2,700 to like 8. So knowing that there's a big rock day and a small rock day is really super important. But anyway, I'm going to continue mining, and we'll kind of pick up things. I'm going to try to keep these episodes pretty condensed, as far as there's no point in us doing like 30-minute episodes of me just like running and spinning around a rock. But we're gonna I'm gonna be doing a lot of mining, like I've been doing in between episodes, and then I'm gonna just kind of use the episodes to hit certain key points along the way. Once we start getting into like mining barges and stuff like that, then we'll try to flex it out a little bit and do a little bit more as far as movement. But right now we're not really gating, we're not really traveling too far and everything, so we're keeping everything pretty simple. The next episode like I said, we're going to try to fill up this venture. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at the total value of the venture completely filled with compressed Veldspar, and we're going to look at numbers. We're going to start really trying to like drill down and figure out exactly how long it's going to take us to get that Omega popping, and then we're going to augment our day-to-day activity around that. We're going to figure out how many hours a day we need to mine and what we kind of need to stick to as far as a routine goes. But yep, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and peace out.